Hello, and welcome. In this video I will cover an in-depth overview of the Faith of the Seven from the popular book series A Song of Ice and Fire written by George R. R. Martin, and from the popular TV series, Game of Thrones. Let's get started. The Faith of the Seven is the main religion of the Seven Kingdoms. It is little practiced beyond its borders. The Faith of the Seven is dominant in the south of Westeros. The only regions where it is not the majority religion are the north, where worship of the old gods of the forest remains strong, and on the Iron Islands, where the local religion of the drowned god is most widespread. There are, however, many exceptions in these areas. Now, let's start from the very beginning, and explore the origins of the Faith of the Seven. The faith originated 6,000 years before the War of the Five Kings in the continent of Essos, specifically in Andalos, where, according to legend, the God of Seven manifested before the Andal people. Afterward, the Andals sailed west and their invasion of Westeros began. Some of the Andal warriors carved the seven-pointed star, the symbol of their religion, into their flesh to demonstrate their devotion. Bearing weapons made of steel, the Andals conquered the first men and slaughtered the children of the forest, viewing their magic as an abomination before the Seven. The Andals burned down most of the weirwood trees in the south, which are considered sacred in the worship of the old gods of the forest. Soon all the kingdoms of the first men, with the exception of the Kingdom of the North, fell to the invaders, who intermingled with some of the local dynasties, such as House Gardener, or replaced them altogether, as was the case of Mountain Kings of the Vale. As the Andals asserted their dominance over all regions south of the Neck, they asserted their religion over the first men they conquered, replacing the worship of the old gods almost entirely throughout the southern kingdoms of Westeros. Thus, the Andals' Faith of the Seven became the dominant religion on the entire continent, except for in the north and the Iron Islands. Prior to the rule of House Targaryen, the faith had the right to dispense justice, conduct inquests and trials, and pass judgment over all echelons of society, including kings. This justice was enforced by the faith militant. However, this right was taken away from it by the Targaryen kings, and whilst the faith remained an important part of Westerosi customs, they grew corrupt and their practices became little more than a facade. Nevertheless, the faith's importance could not be understated, and most if not all noble houses had a scepter present in their household to raise their daughters, such as Scepter Mordain for House Stark, due to the influence of Catelyn Stark, who firmly believed in the gods, despite the fact that she had married into a northern family which worshipped the old gods. As a result of the devastation of the War of the Five Kings, a growing disillusionment with the nobility grew among the small folk. Progressively, they began to turn to the faith for comfort and safety, specifically in the aftermath of the Red Wedding, during which House Frey broke the sacred guest rite. A new religious cult emerged from this disillusioned mass, who called themselves Sparrows. The Sparrows believed that all high and lowborn alike were equal in the eyes of the gods and that they shouldn't tolerate their excesses anymore. I will get more into the Sparrows and the impact and devastation they had on King's Landing and the future of the Faith of the Seven in Westeros in another video. The faith holds that there is one God who has seven faces: the Father, the Mother, the Maiden, the Crone, the Warrior, the Smith, and the Stranger. Each of these aspects represents one part of life or existence. The Father represents divine justice and judges the souls of the dead. The Mother represents mercy, peace, fertility, and childbirth. She is sometimes referred to as the strength of women. The Maiden represents purity, innocence, love, and beauty. The Crone represents wisdom and foresight. She is represented carrying a lantern. The Warrior represents strength and courage in battle. The Smith represents creation and craftsmanship. And finally, the Stranger represents death and the unknown. It is rarely prayed to. Due to its seven aspects, the deity is often referred to as the seven-faced god, or the God of Seven, but most frequently as simply the Seven. The seven are also referred to as the new gods, or new god, in contrast with the old gods of the forest worshipped by the first men before the invasion of the Andals. In practice, many devotees will refer to the seven faces as gods, plural, though priests of the faith will attempt to stress the theological nuance to their followers that there is indeed only one God, the seven-in-one deity. This has not stopped the commonly heard exclamation, "Like gods be good," from being used pervasively throughout the seven kingdoms. Due to the seven-in-one nature of the deity, the number seven is sacred in the religion, with symbolism involving the number seven featuring heavily in its belief system. Newborn babies are anointed with 7 oils and named in the light of the 7 the day they are born. In death, the faith believes that there are 7 heavens and 7 hells. The exclaimed curse, 7 hells, is commonly heard in Westeros. The 7-pointed star is the most prominent symbol of the faith, representing how each of the 7 aspects is one facet of a unified whole. This is used as an allegory to explain the complex theological concept of a single God composed of 7 persons. Just as the star has 7 points, but all points are part of the same star, so too is there only one deity, which appears to men in 7 different ways. The faith also holds to the belief that, just as there are 7 aspects of the deity, it also preaches the existence of 7 heavens and, likewise, 7 hells. Unlike the worship of the old gods, the faith of the 7 has an organized clergy with a complex internal hierarchy. Both men and women can be priests of the 7. Male priests are known as septons and female priests as septors. The head of the faith is known as the High Septon, who resides at the headquarters of the faith of the 7, the Great Sept of Baelor, which is located in the capital city King's Landing. The ruling council of the faith is known as the Most Devout, who also reside in the Great Sept. The Most Devout rank just below the High Septon, but are responsible for electing a new High Septon when the current one dies. There are several monastic or devotional orders that believers in the faith of the 7 may belong to. One of the most prominent of these is the Silent Sisters, a separate all-female monastic order devoted to the stranger, the aspect that represents death. The Silent Sisters are responsible for dressing and preparing dead bodies for funeral rites, and have taken vows of silence and chastity. Silent Sisters are separate from the regular clergy, and are not considered to be septors. For more videos like this, check out my channel. Also, if you like this content, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you.